Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
And it's the podcast with the fancy YouTuber, the pharmacist, and the graphic designer. It's Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Koblentz in the fancy YouTube studio alongside
Art Shirley
and Jay Reed.
Jay, the pharmacist, reads. That means
so we're audio YouTube because I don't want people to search for us and not find us.
You know, somebody told me
YouTube.
we should actually put our podcast on YouTube and just put our logo up, because a lot of folks listen to podcast
through YouTube.
YouTube.
You mean just the logo without us, without videoing us.
We'll make the logo without you.
Have.
Yeah, without you, Jay. It'll just be.
Maybe I'll do a wide version, like a.
We're already the wide version.
I had to start showering before I come.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of the podcast, we had a departmental meeting, and one of the things was a scavenger hunt. You had to find people that had certain qualifications, and one of them was, this person has a podcast, and I was the only one.
Wow.
So
Were you really?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So I said,
point that
okay,
gimbal at me?
I'll sign your sheet, but I'm going to send out a link to our podcast, and I expect to have 30 or 40 more listeners.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
I haven't done that yet. I actually completely forgotten about it until I just mentioned it.
I'm actually recording this even
I
as
feel
we
like you're
speak.
taking my temperature with
kinda
the the head scanner.
Robbie has a brand new
Let's be
Osmo.
clear,
What's the number?
rectal thermometer.
Osmo rectal thermometer.
Thank goodness no YouTube.
The choice of all fancy YouTubers. Yeah.
This is the Osmo Pocket 3.
They put the U. I mean, they put the tube in the U. These are-
Oh, man.
Sorry, Mama.
It's been and everybody else listening, too.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've all been together.
It has been.
I mean,
maybe that's for the best.
yeah. Whew, it's gotten bad. So, all right. So
It's certainly a different vibe. Jay and I kind of have an FM radio type stuff. Yeah. So what were you listening to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, NPR.
Yeah.
A little
NPR.
New Hampshire Public Radio.
Here's some selected readings from a book I enjoy.
Listen to my new LibriVox recording coming out soon.
Your new what?
LibriVox. It's like
I don't want to know.
it actually sounds worse than it is.
Yeah.
It does.
Thought you said LiverVox there for a minute, or listen to my new LiverVox.
Liver Talks.
Yeah, liver detox. So, of course, the rate you're going with all your. Never mind. Okay, so let's jump into some geeks of the week. Who wants to go first for this fall
I'll go first.
cold
Okay, why
episode?
don't you go first?
Okay.
I think you should go first, Art.
Okay. I hope nobody else has this.
I'm sure I don't.
Mine is the new Beatles song.
Shoot.
Which is the last Beatles song
That we think
will ever happen, but
Yeah.
who knows? They may discover something else in the shoebox somewhere. And it was released yesterday as we record, so that was what, the second, the first?
The second.
Thank you. I can't. My
11.
date is covered up by the hour hand, but
have an Apple Watch, but it doesn't tell me what day it is.
okay.
Really, mine does.
You can change the
I
face,
don't have
probably.
one. I'm talking about him.
Oh, okay.
He looked at his Apple Watch and it was.
Is that what he did?
So anyway, the song is called Now and Then, and it just came out yesterday. It was
Then, and yesterday.
Yeah, it was a demo tape of John Lennon's that he recorded in 1977, and they found when they were doing the anthology disc and the TV show that accompanied that back in '94 or sometime around '94. They recorded and released two other songs, "Real Love" and "Free as a Bird."
I remember "Free as a Bird."
Yeah, by using his demo and then recording new tracks onto it. But those demos were cleaner. They could pull his voice from those. Those were actually better demos. They had this tape. They messed around with it for a while, but ultimately they just could not separate the vocal from the piano well enough to use it. The piano was not usable, so they just kind of left it alone for a while. 20-something years later, unfortunately, George Harrison's passed away now as well, but they take this back up, and through their working with Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame, who did the Get Back documentary for Disney, he had developed new software or improved existing software that used AI machine learning to examine tracks and be able to separate all the tracks out of a recording. You can do that to a degree, but he could do it. What he got was a pristine track. So they were able to use that to pull John Lennon's vocal off of the piano and had a clean vocal. Paul McCartney went in and recorded the bass part, added lyrics to it, wrote and added lyrics to it, sang lyrics, sang accompaniment, and then also sang some lyrics. Ringo Starr recorded a drum track for it. Paul McCartney worked with Giles Martin, son of George Martin, the legendary producer for the Beatles. They wrote a string accompaniment for it and had that recorded. They pulled George Harrison had recorded some guitar work for it back in 94, 95, but they took a solo. They created a solo that sounded George Harrison-esque. George Harrison's owned the track. All four Beatles are on the track, but the solo that you hear is actually somebody playing in the style of George Harrison. And apparently they pulled some other things from other recordings, to kind of in background noises or whatever. So it's considered a Beatles track because they're all four playing on it. And it was released yesterday. And the track's a decent track. It's not, I don't think it's going to be anybody's favorite track.
There's a reason it's an unreleased demo.
There's a reason it's an unreleased demo. Exactly. Yeah. And, but I mean, the technology is cool. And the idea that, they went back, and that's what, Paul was saying. There's a special on it. There's like 11-minute. Sorry, time length, but the little thing on it on Max.
Disney.
Oh, Disney. I'm sorry. Yeah, Disney.
Yeah, I saw this,
which makes
but I
more
didn't
sense
realize
because
what
it's
it
Get
was,
Back.
yeah.
It's like 11 minutes long.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of a little behind the scenes. They don't play the track itself, which is kind of a strange thing.
Well, they came out. I think the documentary I saw a few nights ago. So if they just released the track yesterday,
okay, so maybe they'll do a version that adds it to it. But they explained this history of it. Yeah, that's on Disney, which is also where Get Back. You can find Get Back. Cool. But yeah, it's very cool. It's like I said, done with the blessings of all the family of George and John, who are no longer with us. They're calling it the last Beatles track because they do think it's probably the last one they've got that might be there. That might be a demo of, but again, the technique, the process. It's when it first came out, people were thinking, "Oh, this is an AI generated Beatles song," which we are seeing some of those, but it's not. It's just using AI assisted, machine learning assisted technology to actually isolate what's in that track.
Wow.
It's pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm. So what we can do, the overall reason for this, is we can go back to all our recordings, take Jay completely out.
Well, I mean, he doesn't say a whole lot.
Now then, but not again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how long would it take?
Yeah, then you lose our listener.
Hello, Mrs. Reed.
Sorry, Mrs. Reed. We don't want to take Jay out at all.
No, we don't. We're
For
better.
lunch or anything.
we're better together.
Yeah,
so.
that's right.
So, did you like? You're our resident Beatle fan. Did you like the track?
I thought like I said, I thought the track was okay.
Yeah.
It was, it sounds more like, it actually sounds like Julian Lennon more so than John Lennon, which I thought Julian Lennon was fun. In fact, he has some very good songs. But it's, at the end of the day, it doesn't feel as much to me as a Beatles song as Free as a Bird and Real Love did. Those to me felt a little bit more like it. And, John's 7 years removed from the Beatles, and it's something that he's working on.
Yeah.
So it didn't really have that kind of feeling to it, It's not something that I'm going to be on my top 10 list of Beatles songs.
I saw a comment that the least that Paul McCartney could have done is not get his graphic designer off Fiverr.
Oh my gosh!
For the look.
I started to mention that and I forgot about it.
Yeah.
My gosh, the cover art is terrible.
It's horrible.
It's terrible, and they could have easily pulled some existing artwork, a photograph that's not been used for an album cover and done something, but it is awful.
And no disrespect for any freelancers on Fiverr, because you can get some amazing
you can get
stuff.
some fantastic work, which makes it even more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were probably a bunch of folks that would have done it for free and would have done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
It's been released as a vinyl single, and the back of it is a remixed version of "Love Me Do."
There you go.
Double A side is what it's called.
Double A. As opposed to triple A.
That's right. Which
Yeah.
would be
Which
very
is much
odd
harder
looking.
to do on a
That's
Yeah.
right. Looks great spinning on the record.
There you go. Well, Jay, what you got?
I have the ultimate crossover. Yep, that's what I have. Some
And somebody bust in.
No, just a little backstory about me. Since you're going to delete me anyway, this explains why it interests me and why it should interest you. When I lived in North Carolina, I moved there. I was about 10 years, and when I moved up there, I knew very little about NASCAR. But when you move to North Carolina, you have to declare. It's Ford or Chevy, Gordon or Earnhardt. There's all kinds of things you have to decide when you go to North Carolina. And so, being in the area where I was able to actually meet some drivers. I had a coworker, actually one of my bosses, was a cousin of Robert Yates, and so I got to go to Robert Yates' race shop and visit some of the other.
See a driver.
Robert Yates is
this is where Jay gets to glass our eyes over. We're like, okay,
right. No, Robert Yates was a big
Poet,
car
right?
owner.
No.
Huh? Poet. Robert. Yeah. Anyway,
My car goes fast. I hope it'll last. I just keep getting passed. Dang, is that Rick Mast?
That is extremely impressive.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. I mean, it was funny, but it wasn't impressive.
Okay. Well, anyway, so got
Shredded every now and then artwork.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Are we ready? I got immersed into NASCAR. So then, fast forward, came back to Mississippi, and really the only Mississippi driver that I'm aware of was a guy named Lake Speed, and he drove this Spam car, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah.
But,
Spam.
Okay. Anyway, so this weekend, as we record, I'm Robbie. I know you like to say that I bring things from the past, so this is something that will happen in the future.
Wow.
Except by the time you listen to it, it'll be in the past. But the pictures will be out there. But the 2311 team, which interestingly is owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, 23 from Michael Jordan's number.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin is a current driver, I believe, number 11. So anyway, they own this team. Bubba Wallace is one of the drivers, and a guy named, which I don't know, Tyler Reddick is the other one. So they have two teams, two cars, and one of their sponsors is Columbia, and sportswear. And apparently Columbia, even though I haven't seen it personally, they have a good bit of like a Star Wars connection in their line every year. So there's something Star Wars-ish in their clothing line. So they have brought Star Wars to NASCAR. So both of these race cars' paint job at the Phoenix Raceway this weekend are going to be Star Wars focused.
Wow.
So what you should do, go and Google this, Mark Hamill, Bubba Wallace, 2311's team. There's a video where Bubba Wallace pulls up to this house and knocks on the door, and Mark Hamill opens the door, and apparently he's a kind of a NASCAR fan himself, or at least in racing. So he's involved in this commercial, and so the Bubba Wallace car is painted like an X-Wing, and then the Tyler Reddick car is painted like a TIE Fighter. So it's kind of a Luke Vader, Empire Rebellion kind of a thing going on. My understanding is that neither one of them are really in the running for the championship. So it could be, there was discussion of whether they might just kind of play at chasing each other and kind of doing that thing safely, I'm sure. But anyway, so they got these two paint jobs. I'm not sure the TIE Fighter has been revealed yet, but you can go see now as we record the X-Wing. So they really did a lot of detail work. If you look at the top of it, you can kind of see the edge of R2-D2's head, or whatever you call it, on the top, and his race suit is that orange color.
Oh, okay.
And,
of course.
And the helmet too.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and the helmet too looks like a TIE Fighter helmet. So it's very cool, I think. So I don't know if I'll watch the race entirely, but I probably will try to catch a little bit of it.
So is the TIE Fighter going to be Darth Vader, or is it going to be like one of the other?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It looks, the glimpses that they've shown.
And constantly have to adjust his steering wheel. Every time you see this TIE Fighter, they're constantly turning some little knob.
That would be F1.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, I'm just saying F1. They are
racing.
constantly, all their controls are on their on
the TIE Fighter,
or on the steering wheel.
Oh, but they're constantly doing this. Like they've got like a volume knob. I can't get the sound right.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're
That's
into
very
NASCAR,
cool.
I'll bet. I mean, yeah, just a really neat tie-in, and Mark Hamill
In. He was winging it.
I got nothing.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to say something about pod racing, but, is Jar Jar going to be around?
Me said, hope not.
Gosh. So if you're into racing and into Star Wars, this is your weekend.
Yeah.
This was
No.
your weekend.
So Ryan McGee will be there.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
If you're into NASCAR, because you could be into racing and not.
That's right.
NASCAR.
You're into a different kind of race. If you're into
That's
NASCAR.
right. I'm
That's
into
true.
the superior form of racing.
Foot.
F1U. F1U.
F1. Okay.
So cool.
Formula One.
Formula One. So a couple things I've got for you guys, and I won't go in depth. I got to actually run/walk the F1 Las Vegas track, which will probably be airing the F1 race in Vegas.
You walking? We'll be airing.
No.
Did you carry your little gimbal thing with you?
Wow.
And so
There goes my mic.
there goes his mic. We don't have to worry about AI. We can do it ourselves. It's real intelligence taking him out. I got to run and then finish walking the F1 course in Vegas.
When is that race?
17th.
Okay.
Which,
Of November.
this
I guess.
month, yeah. Which it's crazy, guys. They're shutting the strip down.
Wow.
It's in the. I asked every one of my Lyft and Uber drivers, "What do you think?" They're like, "We hate it. We absolutely hate it."
Yeah.
And apparently the casinos aren't real happy about
Yeah.
it. They put up, Jay, have you been to Vegas?
I've not. My children have been, but I have not.
Wow, that should
Go
tell you
figure.
something. Yeah.
Road trip. Podcast road trip.
Yeah. Okay. So they have pedestrian
by.
bridges across the strip, and so that people don't walk out and get killed. These pedestrian bridges have glass walls. You've seen them, right? Art?
yeah.
So Las Vegas Police Department has put up stickers, not stickers, but film, kind of like would go on a car windshield to prevent people from seeing the race.
You're kidding me.
No, and so
because they knew people would just probably overload the bridge.
and so folks
right?
are tearing this stuff down.
Oh, wow.
And tourists are saying, if I can't see, you can't see the Bellagio fountains
Yeah.
because there's grandstands in front of Bellagio.
Oh, my gosh.
So I think the casinos may be reconsidering if this is good for them or not.
Yeah, probably not.
But while we were at Vegas, we weren't there just for me to run and walk an F1 track, even though it was really cool to do that. Went to go see U2 in the Sphere. Unbelievable. Absolutely. And I know I've texted both
Yeah,
of you
those
guys.
pictures are.
Yeah, just incredible.
Do not do it
Hard to-
justice.
yeah.
You know, and if you get a chance to go.
That's what Bonnie was saying. Robbie's wife was saying that, there would be a point where they would show a landscape thing, taking Vegas out of it, and you completely forgot you were inside.
And
Is that what?
yeah. They showed a skyline of Vegas.
Okay.
And then they deconstructed it, like going back in time.
Yeah, that's what she was saying.
And it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But you really kind of, because you're completely surrounded, obviously.
Yeah, you're going. I mean, it's like IMAX on super steroids.
It's so much bigger than I realized it was, too.
Holds 18,600 people. Costs
Good grief.
$2 billion plus to build. It's owned by Steve Dolan, who owns Madison Square Garden. So the official title is the MSG Sphere.
Okay.
And the sound
What if you're
was
allergic?
Monosodium glutamate.
Yeah, that's right. Then don't go. If you're allergic to anything, don't go to Vegas. Just unbelievable. If you get a chance to catch anything in the Sphere, do it. They've got Darren Afrotsky, I can never pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Director. Did Tree of Life and a few other things. He's got a movie shot for the Sphere called Postcards from Earth.
Oh, my gosh.
And so the Sphere itself is a 16K screen. That's the resolution. We're still playing with 4K at home, which
Yeah.
you can't. You have to be, 20 odd feet back for 4K to make a difference than HD to the eye. Think of what 16K is, which, it's 4 times 4 times 4.
Yeah.
If you're going to get to 16, it's not 4 times 4 to get 4K to 16. It's 16 times 4, 64 times the resolution of a 4K screen. Unbelievable. And the sound's incredible. The speaker arrays are set up so that supposedly the sound does not change from seat to seat. And it's the best sounding concert I've ever been to. So,
And there's still somebody on their phone in there. No, just kidding.
yeah. Well, I was on my phone shooting a lot of video.
Yeah. At least you weren't taking calls.
No, I
'Cause
wasn't.
we tried to call you.
Did you? Yeah. That's why I put it on Do Not Disturb. So,
Hey, tell them to do Streets Have No Name.
which they did at the end. They had a 6-song encore.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So they did the entirety of Octoon Baby. So they did the first 6 tunes off Octoon Baby. They did kind of an acoustic set in the middle. They said, we're going to put the baby to bed for a little bit. And so they did 4 or 5 tunes. And then they came back and said, we're going to wake the baby up, and finished out Octoon Baby, then went into the encore.
Okay.
So highly recommend it.
Now, there's stuff going, obviously, there's stuff you're seeing inside of it, and then there's stuff completely different that the sphere is displaying outside.
They've turned the outside of the sphere into a giant display, almost interactive, but they put goo goo eyes looking around.
Yeah.
You know, they'll advertise games like video games.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
It can be unsettling sometimes. I can
It
imagine
really can,
driving through, you'd kind of go, wow, that's really kind of freaking me out.
So
What else do they do there besides like concerts? And just looking at your pictures, it looked like seats, a stage. Can they move things?
no, the seats are fixed.
So it's not like you could have a game there, like a basketball game.
Oh, I would think not.
Okay.
No, I mean, you would not want a basketball or a football to hit the, the screen.
Oh,
you know?
gosh.
True.
Yeah.
True.
No, it's designed for performance venues.
Okay.
And the thing that brings it pretty interesting to me is, there are not many bands who are going to be able to play that venue because of the content behind. The content on the screen was constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so the band was only seen maybe for 40% of the time on screen. And, there was one point where the edge was like 200 feet tall.
I saw that picture.
This thing's like 380 feet, all the way up around to you. So, you're not going to have a Bee Gees tribute band playing the Sphere. So I would think Taylor Swift probably could pull it off. Maybe the Stones.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good guess. Yeah.
But U2 is such a great big venue band anyway.
Was it sold out? Was it?
Yeah. So we got our tickets at face value because I'm part of the U2 fan club. That is the best way to get U2 tour tickets, by the way. I think it's $50 a year, $70 a year to be a member. You get a really cool gift, like some limited edition vinyl or something like that each year. And that was my headphones. Anyway, so
It's my back.
It's my back. I'm gone. So I got in the lottery for the tickets for that show that I put in for 3 shows, got into the lottery for that ticket. I had an opportunity to buy tickets at face value, which was $250 a piece. Somebody who sat next to us as we were walking out, don't know him, just overheard them say that was the best $800 I ever spent.
Wow.
So kind of pricey, but well worth it. I would highly recommend if you've got a chance to take anything into the Sphere.
Yeah.
So, which that wasn't my Geek of the Week either, but I'll give you this one real quick, then we'll jump the break. So Doctor Who's celebrating its 60th, say that fast, 20 times or something, or don't, I don't really care. Anniversary, effective this month. There are 3 specials with David Tennant, who is coming in as the 14th Doctor. But one of the things that, and Art, I think you and I have talked about it, the BBC has taken in the entire Who back catalog and made it available on their iPlayer, which is their landlocked to the United Kingdom player for digital content. Well, to celebrate that, they're doing a variety of things, and they put these little vignettes called Tales of the TARDIS together. And so they're not canon at all, but they've got present-day actors who played the Doctor and companions reprising their roles in an aged setting. I mean, so they're not made up to look like they were 30 years ago when they played on the role. And they're just kind of having a conversation in character about their adventures and what's happened since they last departed each other. And you can catch it on YouTube in a few different places. It's not necessarily released yet. I'm hoping that, officially for anywhere outside the UK, I'm hoping it'll end up on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool, creative visitation to that classic era of Doctor Who, which kind of gets overlooked at times. So it's called Tales of the TARDIS, TARDIS, if you're writing
it
it
down.
I wrote it down.
Did you write it down?
I'd actually seen that prior to this meeting.
Did you?
Wow.
I did. I saw it. I screenshotted it.
Shot it.
Shot. I'm going to leave it.
Better be careful. I might turn it off if I were you, Mrs. Reed. So. All right, 25 minutes of Geeks of the Week. You can tell we haven't been together in a while. We're going to talk.
Thanks for listening to us catch up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no chips and salsa were involved in this at all. We're going to talk a movie that Art and I had seen. Jay's seen for the first time. We've rewatched it, or at least two of us have, called The Last Starfighter. Up next. I stand corrected. Jay has seen The Last Starfighter, or The Next to the Last Mohican, or something like that. So, right? You saw it when it came out, correct, Jay?
Sometime, probably not when it came out, but sometime long before today.
Was that one of those pirated movies that you picked up when you were overseas?
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But probably before. I probably rented it on a VHS at some point.
From Blockbuster or Movie Gallery.
Yeah, that's more likely.
Movie Gallery. So, all right, we're going to talk Last Starfighter, which... Last Starfighter was not a Disney release, was it? No, it was
Lorimar.
Lorimar. Oh my!
Wow.
Look at me knowing stuff.
Yeah, it's about time. It's only taken.
Watched the movie or something.
I just watched like half the documentary about the making of it this morning.
Oh, did
wow,
you?
You're way ahead of us.
So, first question is, I thoroughly enjoyed it when it first came out. Did you guys enjoy? And I enjoyed it the second time. How much did you enjoy a second viewing or a modern viewing of The Last Starfighter?
I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of things I remembered. There were a lot of things I forgot. There were some things that I probably misremembered that I thought were in there that weren't in there. But I thought it was, I just thought this was just a nice and, kind of warm, feel-good, show. And obviously was capitalizing on the success of Star Wars, although it came out in 1984.
Right.
But it was just kind of a simple,
It was a simple tale
from a simpler time
about a simple man.
Yeah, that's right. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, the CGI. It was an early attempt at computer graphics.
A very early.
Yeah, the documentary talked a lot about that.
Knowing that going into it again, I wasn't like, oh, this is so terrible, so terrible. I mean, it was okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'd love to see them redone. But
and I want to talk about that. But watching it this time, I thought the idea of it was incredible.
Yeah,
I really liked the whole the plot and how it came about. The actors I thought were great, and we can talk about Robert Preston and all that entails. But
you mean Centauri?
I mean
the actor.
The actor's name is Robert Preston.
Centauri. He'll always be Centauri.
Well, see, that was part of what I struggled with. I love him.
Yeah.
And like a Music Man.
But I kept waiting for him to break into song.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know him from that role when I first, and I think I saw Last Starfighter in the theater originally.
Oh, well, when I first saw it, I wouldn't have known him. But now,
And I've never seen The Music Man, so yeah.
I was also in Victor Victoria, which is around the same time.
Was that with Julie Andrews?
Julie Andrews and James Garner.
James Garner, Rockford.
It's a Blake Edwards movie.
Wow.
But I think it's just begging for a redo.
Yeah. So a remake instead of a reboot the series and maybe take it from another.
I think you need to remake it.
I think maybe too. I think so too.
So what was so enjoyable about it? I love the Arthurian legend throughout.
Because you've got the video game at this point becomes the Excalibur.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got the wizened old guide of Centauri, Robert Preston, taking him off, even though he turns out to be basically, I just want my money. Pay me. Grigg was kind of the sort of coach guy.
He was more of the Obi-Wan than Robert Preston's character.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was, he's an actor. I would not recognize him in his makeup at all. I looked him up, and I said, "Oh, I've seen this guy before."
What's his name?
It's like Ben Hurley or something like that. I can't remember.
If we only had a device.
But Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
And he's a British actor in a bunch of war movies and that kind of thing. But and Lance Guest who plays Alex Rogan and Catherine Mary Stewart, who I can't remember what was the girl's name.
Maggie.
She was in a variety of things.
You'd see them
Weekend at
afterwards.
Bernie's,
Yeah, you'd see them afterwards, but neither one of them became huge stars afterwards. But
Well,
you did
this is a shout out to my mother because Mrs. Reed, apparently Catherine Mary Stewart had a role on Days of Our Lives at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Around the same time that she filmed this movie. So
Yeah.
Kayla Brady, Mom will probably remember her from the 1980s Days of Our Lives.
Yeah. But again, soap operas where you want to be at the beginning of the career,
Right.
and
Right.
and then move on from that. But
Sometimes they can be good at the end of the
Well, she
Yeah,
was in
so,
Weekend
yeah.
at Bernie's, I believe.
yeah, she
Wasn't
was. Yeah, she was. But neither one of them really.
They're huge yet.
Yeah, that's right. I love Weekend at Bernie's.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it came out July 13th, 1984. I'm sure I probably went and saw it for my birthday.
Yeah.
I liked and I'll just mention this. I had done like a cartooning class, like a special class for me. I had some teachers get together since I was doing cartoons at Ole Miss at the time. And I had to do like several different other ideas, things that I might could take and develop. And one thing I did was going to be, it was called Mobile Homer. It's based on a short story I'd done called Not So Mobile Homer. And it was the whole
was
thing.
before The Simpsons, right?
Yeah, that's right. But it was going to be the whole thing took place in a trailer park. So you had all these different families and living in trailer parks. And I see the movie and I go, oh my gosh,
They stole it.
This is the
Somewhere.
idea. This is the idea.
Well, they talked about that in the documentary.
But I thought that was
specifically.
so great because it's such a microcosm.
Yeah, and they were saying that originally they were going to put it like just in a suburb, but it had a little bit too much E.T.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg
I could see that,
vibes
yeah.
to
And
it,
it-
so they went completely different.
They were certainly tapping into that vibe as well because there's a lot of that. But
Yeah, but it made for a better sort of story, like somebody coming out of that sort of. Because he talked about that. I want to get out. I don't want to just go to City College. I want to go.
Yeah, right.
Do something with my life. And
So little Luke Skywalker
Yeah,
there.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm going to go off to the academy, sort of thing.
having to work on the motivators. And
Yeah,
things kinda-
that's right. I don't want to go to Tashi Station and get some motivators. No.
Right. Now I had forgotten about the robot doppelganger that was left in his place.
Yeah.
the beta unit.
Yeah,
The
the
beta
beta
unit,
unit. Yeah.
Where he takes his head off to work on his ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And his younger brother was a little bit more obnoxious than I remember him being, but that was very typical of that time.
yeah.
I mean, there was always that character.
yeah.
And y'all would know more about this, but I'll introduce it and y'all can play on it. The whole digital thing, they were saying in the documentary that kind of behind the scenes show that this is really the first time they used that kind of digital technology as opposed to models.
Yes.
Now, if we, all of us, even me looking at it now, can see, well, that was really simple, compared to what we see now. But one guy was talking about how they had 6 months. They wanted all this done. They had 6 months before it's supposed to be in the theaters. And he did some calculations based on number of frames and how much it took to do each thing.
Yeah.
And he went back to the producer and said, this will take 17 months to do based on what we know. And
Yeah.
he said, no, go back and do it. And they did. And
So they just had to simplify things.
well, they did some simplification, but just along the way, they would learn something that would, speed the next process up. And then they would do that, and then they would learn something else. And just, it was kind of a learn by doing, which resulted pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, all things considered.
I believe it was ILM who did it, right?
It was digital production.
No, Deep Productions on a Cray XMP. Oh man, a Cray supercomputer.
That in the picture of the Cray is like this. It almost looks like a tall Simon game. It's red and green, and the guy said there was a bench almost around it, and he said we slept on that bench because we couldn't. We'd have to sleep for an hour and then go back to work to get it all done.
Oh, it was crazy. Everything was in Fortran.
Oh, wow.
Oh gosh, I took a Fortran class.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, because it was the only language with vectorization when we started. It remained the only language with good vectorization through the life of DP, Digital Productions. That's one of the lead software programmers. Yeah. That's from a wiki article. So, real primitive 3D graphics, which they cleaned up for the Blu-ray release.
Oh, did they?
Somewhat. Okay. Not to the extent of Star Trek, the original series.
Where they redid everything.
Yeah. But they did clean it up.
Well, it did look. It seemed to look better this time than maybe when I'd seen it. Maybe on VHS before, obviously. But.
And the Frontier, the graphics for the Frontier. Oh my goodness! And what about the Rylan Empire, where everybody, male or female, has male pattern baldness?
Yeah. See, I mean, if they reboot it, I mean, there's opportunities to kind of improve some
yeah.
of those things.
Well, I was curious, who would you want to see as Centauri in a remake? I thought about David Tennant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just because, the Centauri character is kind of mischievous. He talks fast. He's funny.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things I associate with David Tennant. And he's also kind of got the sci-fi thing going on with his Doctor Who connections and all that. So I think he would be a good candidate for it. And like you said, with the near balding population, you could do something still differentiating them without being so kind of ridiculous.
yeah. It was just it was kind of like, oh, couldn't they have thought of a little better of this?
It's a PG movie.
Yes.
If they remade the movie, do you
man.
think they would remake it as a PG? Could they keep it PG?
No, it'd be a PG-13 at least. It wouldn't be R because R movies don't make nearly as much money as PG-13s because folks will sneak their kids into PG-13s without thinking about it, but they won't take them to an R. But and
I think for the story, it needs to be a PG-13, and Disney might be the company that would.
Well, there probably was a
bring
PG-13 when it happened.
Oh
right?
no, that was
after
Temple of Doom. Yeah,
okay. It was PG.
So, but it's a very for the most part a very innocent movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And talk about the computer graphics. This is is it a year before Young Sherlock Holmes? When did Young Sherlock Holmes drop? Was that 86?
I think that may be right
Because that was ILM. And the thing about Young Sherlock Holmes is you had an animated character interacting with a real life character, a computer animated character interacting with a real life character, where you had the stained glass character drop out.
Year later, 1985.
85.
Yeah.
So
they're working on it while this movie's coming out, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that was ILM. Young Sherlock Holmes was.
That was a good movie too.
That was a great movie. Really, really good. So,
what about so who's going to play Alex? Is that going to be
somebody undiscovered.
Yeah.
It would have to be. So,
also Will Wheaton is in this movie.
where?
He plays one of Lewis's, the younger brother's friends. I never saw him. I looked for him and never saw him.
Wow.
So I think I would recognize him because he would kind of look like he didn't Stand By Me, I guess. But
Yeah, he would.
I did not see him.
I didn't see him at all. So
To go back and check that out. I don't know. And I'm going to go back and I didn't get all the way through the documentary. I thought it was just going to be one of these little 20-minute behind the scenes things.
how long was it?
Well, I watched it for a good 30, 45 minutes and it was still going strong. So,
Wow, longer than the movie.
And it's a hour 45-minute movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, there are so many things that are different just in the movie making practices from those times that, kind of, wow, I'd forgotten it was like this.
Yeah, but there's a lot of it. I mean, you still want the trailer park and there's a lot of it I would want to keep.
Yeah.
But maybe just the characters and sort of the look of things. I mean, even the DeLorean-ish car.
That Centauri drove?
Yeah, there were a lot of elements of Star Wars, Back to the Future, just the sci-fi du
And
jour.
again, a lot of that Steven Spielberg kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Starlight Starbright being I don't think there was ever a shooting star, but there may have been. I mean, there may have been. But, Spielberg's got that in
Well,
it.
when Centauri was coming down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they thought
saw,
it was. Yeah, so that was kind of. So it
And
felt
then
very
when
much
when the assassin came in, remember when the beta unit's looking out and sees the star come over, and then it drops.
Yeah.
So,
They said this was Preston's last feature film, too.
Oh, wow.
So he had already done
there.
Victor Victoria.
He's like
from-
75 years old or something.
So just like Alex Guinness, cash grab at the end to have a comfortable retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except
well,
I don't-
apparently he had a lot of fun making it. They had a lot of fun working with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really. I mean, he did a great job in the in the movie. I thought he was really good.
Very large sets at times. I mean, there was
because you look at it and you think, through today's eyes, oh, they could have done this, and this is probably green screen. And of course, I'm sure they use some traditional matte painting, techniques and stuff that we kind of forget about these days. But for the most part, like when he goes and into the, what is it? I can't remember what was he on a satellite or what was it? Where was he on where he met the other people that had been brought in by the
Star Command.
Star Command, which is like a
Jason
of Star
Jason of
Yeah.
Star Command.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a Saturday.
Well, they
morning
did
cartoon.
say, I guess it was the art director talking about the sets and how what they wanted to do, but then because they really didn't know how the digital renderings were going to come out, they had to be careful because they have the sort of you see at the very end, spoiler alert, when Alex comes down off the spaceship to get Maggie and see his family, and you see a leg. It's an actual leg, but that's really one of the few pieces of actual Starship that were made.
Yeah.
The rest of it was digital, so they had to play with all that, but and they had to make it match up.
Yeah.
So they had to make that match, and they had the sets for when the guy was speaking, the ambassador or whatever they call
Right.
him. You look to the side and you see all the spaceships kind of docking in that little bay, and you said we had to make that all match up, and we didn't know what it was going to look like, so they had to do a little bit of a simplification of some of the set, just in case.
But to me, and I was starting to ask, do you think it should be a digital series or a streaming series? But I think it needs to be a movie. I think it needs to a movie that is positioned at PG-13, family friendly. It needs to be a fun enough adventure to capture the older folks that would want to go, and it needs to be under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because people are wondering why nobody wants to go to the theaters anymore. Well, first of all, there's not a lot of family fare out there. There's not a lot of movies that are under 2 hours. And so to go, it's a commitment, right? And also you've got a generation that's being trained not to go to the theaters. Right. There are other options. So if you could create a family movie that somebody wants to go and take their 5 to 10-year-old to go see and enjoy the experience together, then you start to get people in the theaters, like Killers of the Osage.
Flower Moon.
Flower Moon, yeah, thank you. The Osage thing. I mean, it's probably a brilliant movie, but it's 3.5 hours long or better. No intermission.
Some theaters were putting intermission in, and the studio has commanded them.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. I mean, I think our local theater's only showing it twice. They're doing like an 11 o'clock showing and like a 6 o'clock showing.
And it's flopping at the box office. And like I said, it's probably a brilliant, great movie, but people just don't want to go and spend. And I know we have all gone to see movies that are really long.
Right. 2.5 hours would be.
But that's about as long as you can do. I mean,
Well, I think you could do this one pretty much with the minor tweaking of the same screenplay.
I think so too.
I think you'd want to keep that part the same. Just
I don't think there's anything in there that
graphics.
that really would not translate well to modern times.
Yeah,
because it's a classic, like you said, the Arthurian legend.
He's pointing at me when he said, like you said, by the way.
Well, and I guess you could update it.
But then I point back to him and I say Arthurian legend, which is who I am.
Arthurian legend. But do you think we would want to see it like with a video game at home, like he's playing at home on a video game? Or
absolutely.
Yeah, you'd almost have to update that.
But
right?
you would get. I mean, it would be. Did you? I got this leaked PlayStation game that is very rare. Everybody's been looking for it. You do something like that. So
or just appears and nobody knows about it.
That would be a good modern up.
I mean, that would make sense.
To it,
but everything else, pretty much, you could keep the same.
Yeah. It's not available for free anywhere to stream. You can get it all your typical platforms.
It was on sale at Amazon when I bought it. I got it for like $5.
Yeah, see, I got it for $5 from iTunes a while back, and I just hadn't watched it. I mean, I've had it for a long time, and then
I have the physical Blu-ray.
Oh, do you?
Because they're going to take that digital stuff from you.
No, I have I bought the Blu-ray.
Oh, you bought the Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was like $5.99 from Amazon.
Yeah, I have
the Blu-ray with all
copy.
You've got the digital
with the documentary and everything.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch the documentary. I've ripped it to my.
You can also watch it with commentary, but I started to do that just because we were going to talk about it, but they were talking over everything. Like it was just a constant conversation.
They probably hadn't seen each other for years.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll watch this part later. I'm going to watch the actual movie.
We actually got the movie playing in the background here. We just
it was kind of like what's that when they
Mystery Science 3?
Yeah, it was
Mystery Science Theater
without the
3.
heads.
It's kind of like our podcast. Yeah, without the heads.
Who's the real person? Who are the two robots?
Yes.
You have to ask, Jay.
Do you have to ask? So, all right. So we highly recommend Last Starfighter, correct?
That's right.
We need to be thinking about what the next one we're going to do
All
is.
Dozens of our people who are watching. What should we do next?
I think this is modern, but have y'all seen Blue Beetle? We haven't talked about Blue Beetle at all.
Oh, yeah. We haven't talked about Blue Beetle. And it's
going to be for an old one, too.
But I want an old movie that we might not have seen.
We do probably need to watch Blue Beetle. Spider-Man Across the Universe. Spider-Verse is out on Netflix.
I'm about done with it. It's unbelievable.
Have you not seen it before either?
No.
See, I hadn't either. Did you see that?
Which one? Spider-Verse 2?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well maybe that's what we ought to watch.
So we should watch
The
that
new
and do
one,
that next
because
week.
it's free.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on
It's
Netflix.
free on a service we already pay for. Anyway.
Rock and roll.
Well, nothing's free.
Yeah.
So, including, well, except maybe for this podcast. So, thanks for listening, all you folks who were not paying. We'll see you next time.